Wow, 2017. Honestly, a great year. TK dropped The Race, Kendrick Lamar dropped what would be his best-selling album of all time, Tom Brady made an impossible Super Bowl comeback, and of course, every high schooler had one of these. Guys, this was 7 years ago. We're all getting old. But hey, this just means we're far enough away from the 2017 draft to look at it more in detail. By now, we all know the 2017 draft was good. It had more than one superstar, multiple all-stars, and lots of borderline all-stars and role players. But it also had plenty of players that failed to live up to the hype. Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Zach Collins, these are just a few of the names. So let's figure out exactly what happened to everyone in the 2017 NBA draft. This draft was supposed to be a turning point for many teams, and while for some it was, for others, not so much.
The Philadelphia 76ers select Markelle Fultz from the University of Washington.
At the draft lottery, the Sixers originally ended up with a third pick. However, they traded their first pick and future first rounder to get Markelle Fultz. So why was Fultz considered a number one pick over so many other talented guys? Well, in college, he averaged over 23 points as a freshman, the highest in the Pac-12 in 20 years. He was also the only player in 25 years to average at least 25 and 5 on 40% from the three-point line. Honestly, just a ridiculous first year. Markelle's skill set looked tailor-made for the modern NBA. He was a good pick and roll player, he had a good three-point shot, and he was great at shooting off the dribble, even in traffic. That's why 29 teams would probably pick Markelle Fultz as the first pick in this year's draft. Markelle was supposed to be the final piece for the 76ers young core, and a perfect piece to play besides Embiid and Simmons. For the Sixers as an organization, Fultz's rookie year was a success. They won over 50 games for the first time since the 2000 through 2001 season when they went to the finals. But for Fultz individually, things didn't go that well. He had a strange shoulder injury that prevented him from making really any significant contribution to the team. The injury was so severe that he basically changed his whole shooting form.
Now at the team foul limit, the Sixers, for their part in the penalty, or rather...
It took ages to diagnose, and once they figured it out, it led to further complications. He did become the first teenager to record a triple-double in NBA history in the final game of his rookie year. Fultz had a few games as a starter in the second season, but he wasn't playing as the first pick, and the Sixers were in a win-now mode. After only playing 36 games for the Sixers, Fultz was sent to the Magic for what seemed like nothing. In Orlando, he played much better and was even a candidate for Most Improved Player of the Year in 2019 through 2020. But injuries kept piling on. In the 2022 through 2023 season, he had his best statistical season, averaging 14 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. And Fultz came into the 2023 through 2024 season trying to build on this. But another knee injury caused him to miss a bulk of the season. As he told The Ringer, he's still a young player. He still wants to become an all-star, play in a playoff series, even win a chip. His mindset hasn't changed, so let's just hope his body holds up.
The Los Angeles Lakers select Lonzo Ball from UCLA.
Lonzo came into this draft with some insane social media hype surrounding him. To the casual NBA fan, he was more recognizable than Markelle Fultz or Jason Tatum for two reasons. One, his dad. Circa 2016, LeVar was doing more marketing than an entire PR firm.
I have the utmost confidence in what my boy is doing. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's better than Steph Curry to me.
Like I said, if Lonzo don't play, if Lonzo doesn't sign with Adidas, Nike, or Under Armour, whoever, guess what? I'll sign in the big baller brand.
When he gets to the pros, the game is even faster, and that's when he's at his best.
The man was a menace.
Forward. What's your fallback plan?
I ain't got no fallback plan, because if I got a fallback plan, that means I'm going 80% this way and 20% to my fallback.
Pass the ball, shoot. It ain't that hard. It ain't that hard.
All right, Melo's 16 years old.
He can be 12 years old. He was playing 17-year-olds when he was 11. What you think he was thinking?
Now he's playing 33-year-olds.
Okay, it's the same thing.
Everywhere he appeared, he was talking about his three sons, Lonzo, LiAngelo, and LaMelo. All three brothers played on the same high school team for 2 years. Their highlights had millions upon millions of views on YouTube. They were already stars way before going to college. Number 2, the video. Come on, if you ever watched NBA YouTube, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Korzemba's video titled Meet Lonzo Ball, Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical, persuaded hundreds of thousands of people that Lonzo was the next big thing. Now, was the title a little bit clickbaity? Sure, but overall, the video was factual and unbiased. Well, not too biased. It showed impressive stats, highlights, and presented the Ball brothers to the world. While the video has become a bit of a meme since, I'm pretty certain it helped Lonzo become a household name, on top of whatever the family was already doing. After a tremendously successful senior year in which he averaged a triple-double, Lonzo went to UCLA. As a freshman, he was averaging more than 14 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds, winning the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year in the process. Lonzo also drew comparisons to Jason Kidd, the last Pac-12 player to average at least 14, 7, and 6. While UCLA underachieved in the tournament, Lonzo still had a great year and decided to put his name in the draft pool. Since the Lakers got the second pick that year, it was clear where he was headed. Going into the draft, Lonzo had 3 things going for him. Again, excellent marketing. The Ball family had a reality show in the works and had a sports clothing brand behind them. Next, the hometown hero angle. He was an LA native who went to high school and college there. And lastly, Magic Johnson really liked him. The Lakers GM not only liked Zoe as a player, but the entire story around him. So he wanted to make the hometown hero a face of the franchise. While Lonzo's shooting wasn't all that Steph Curry-like, his rookie shooting splits were abysmal. He still looked promising though. His court vision wasn't something you can teach, and his defense was good out of the gate, although he had one of the strangest shooting forms of all time. It's like Sean Marion and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist forms had a child. It's just very weird to look at. In its first 2 seasons, Lonzo was solid, but there were many incidents. To start, him and his teammate Kyle Kuzma's beef.
Lonzo's rap name is ZO2, but it really should be 21 Sad Bitch.
Which Lonzo responded with this.
Who are you without ZO2? Just another dude with a bunch of tattoos. You ain't got no shoe, Nike wins, Cools lose. Claiming that I can't shoot, but all these words is hitting you.
Embiid fired shots on Twitter. Pat Bev basically tried to assassinate him.
I play fast-paced now because of Magic. I watched MJ.
And he inspired Chuck to come up with the triple single.
Lonzo Ball had a triple single.
I've told you.
But all in all, he played fine and was improving. But after the Lakers started building a championship team around LeBron, he got sent to the Pelicans. There he improved his defense, offense, and if y'all remember, his shooting form. But since he didn't want to stay in New Orleans after his rookie deal expired, they signed and traded him to the Bulls. In Chicago, Zoe was arguably the glue that kept the team together. How so? Well, to keep it simple, with Lonzo in the lineup, the Bulls had a 22-13 record. Ball unfortunately suffered a massive injury and hasn't played basketball in over 2 years. And in those 2 years without him, they're on a 79-85 record. Lonzo is trying to make a comeback, but we'll see what the basketball gods have intended for him. Stephen A., close us out, please.
Get healthy, please. Because I do know this. The Chicago Bulls with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan would look a hell of a lot better with you on the basketball court as their point guard than they've looked without you.
The Boston Celtics select Jason Tatum from Duke University.
Okay, seriously, this is the only guy that could have gone first in the draft besides Fultz. Danny Ainge has said that while the team liked many players, Tatum was their top choice from the start. Even if they kept the #1 pick, they would have picked him. But still, trading down was pretty ballsy on Ainge's part. He believed that the Sixers wouldn't pass on Fultz, and the Lakers would select Lonzo, and that Tatum would slip to #3. And he was totally right. Another thing he was right about, while many of us thought that Jason Tatum was one of the 5 best prospects in the draft, Ainge knew that Tatum was the best player in his class. Tatum was a natural scorer. His game has that old school feeling, but with a new school twist on it. With his skill and height, Tatum can score from anywhere. And most importantly, he can also dunk with a suit of armor on. In his rookie season, he averaged 14 and 5 while shooting 43% from 3. Tatum finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year race behind Simmons and Mitchell. However, he left the best impression out of all the rookies in the playoffs. With their 2 All-Stars hurt, Boston was counted out by many that season. Then, Tatum started showing the makings of a superstar. At 20, he became the leader, scoring nearly 19 points a night in the playoffs. The team finished Dionisius and the Bucks in 7 games, got Embiid and Simmons and co out of there in just 5 games, and the Celtics even brought the LeBron-led Cavs to 7 games and made his most memorable play.
With 6:45 remaining, Tatum drives down and throws it down!
Not sure if that earned a follow from LeBron, but Tatum got it.
I had talked to Bron for like a minute straight. We were talking, and in that moment, I realized what I had just done, how close we were, and that was kind of the like, all right, I'm gonna be pretty good for a while.
Since then, Tatum has progressed significantly. He improved his passing skills.
Nice look to the corner, White.
Became better at creating his own shots.
And that means something.
It sure does.
Yeah. Both fan bases.
And became more team-oriented.
Kick out to White, another three on the way.
He has also led the Celtics to 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances and a Finals appearance. However, one thing Tatum is still missing is a ring. In the 2023 through 2024 season, the Celtics have the best chance to win it all this year, so I'm not going to talk a lot about Tatum's critics. If they won the ring in 2024, you'll see it all in the comments below. And if they haven't, well, I guess we'll see what you'll have to say. Guys, the NBA playoffs are here. And if you're anything like me, you've got the schedule memorized, you're glued to the screen with your phone on airplane mode, catching as many games as humanly possible. But as we all know, once the games end, the fun ends. Back to regular life. Well, our sponsor for today's video, Underdog Fantasy, wants to help you keep the fun going until the next game. With Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game and draft, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. New customers get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 and receive a Pick'em special in your lobby. Here's how it's done. Download the Underdog Fantasy app, sign up using code LOCKDOWNK, head to the Pick'em lobby, pick at least 2 players from at least 2 different teams for your Pick'em entry, and pick if they're going to have a higher or lower of any stat shown. And if available, I'd choose a Pick'em special as one of them. Track the players in your lineup, and if your pick hits, you can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Underdog has also recently launched the Champions mode in Florida. In Champions, your entry competes in a peer-to-peer contest with up to 50,000 other entrants for a chance to win a share of the Champions prize. Besides Florida, Underdog Champions is now available in 11 other states. You can play Classic Underdog in most states too. Just to make sure you can play it in your state, check this map out here. Download the Underdog Fantasy app today. You can use my code LOCKDOWNK when signing up to get a 100% bonus on your first deposit of up to $100. Get in on the action while the playoffs last. That's promo code LOCKDOWNK only on Underdog Fantasy. Now, back to the video.
The Phoenix Suns select Josh Jackson from the University of Kansas.
I'm not sure if the average fan knows much today about Josh Jackson, but at the time of the draft, he was considered a potential steal. Jackson had everything most of us could ever dream of. As a kid, he was the best basketball player in the country in 2016. He had one of the hottest highlight mixtapes online, and many believe that he would be one of the top 3 picks once he entered the draft. Jackson was an athletic 6'8" guard-forward combo who was getting compared to the likes of Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler. So what happened? Why isn't Josh Jackson a household name by now? Well, unlike Fultz and Lonzo, whose careers were plagued by injuries, Jackson's off-court struggles led to his demise. Before he got drafted, maturity was called in question after 2 incidents. The lighter of the 2 was the canceled workout on the Boston Celtics.
They canceled a workout on us when we flew out to Sacramento, and they just decided to cancel it as Brad and I and Mike Zarin flew cross country. So there was something that he didn't want to play for the Celtics.
And then there was a college incident which was much more severe. See, back in Kansas, Jackson helped a friend damage his ex's car while she was still in the car. They also verbally abused her and threatened her. As a result, Jackson was forced to take anger management classes. There were some glimpses of his talent in his rookie year. He averaged 13 points and nearly 5 rebounds in 25 minutes of action, and was selected as part of the all-rookie second team. But problems off the court constantly hounded him. He was arrested for escape and trying to resist arrest, and some other stuff too. Soon, his game started suffering too. His numbers went down, and Jackson was traded to Memphis. His shooting never improved. Averages of 41% from the field and 29% from 3 tell the story, nor his off-court behavior. He played better with the Pistons, but they traded him to Sacramento to get Marvin Bagley III. Then he ended up with the Raptors, who cut him, and the man's career pretty much fizzled out. At the time of this recording, Josh Jackson hasn't played in the NBA game for over 2 years now.
The Sacramento Kings select De'Aaron Fox from the University of Kentucky.
De'Aaron Fox was once ranked as the 2nd best prospect in the entire draft. Fox had a lot of upside. At Kentucky, he showed that he was athletic, had a knack for playmaking, and the ability to play good defense at any level. He showcased all of that perfectly by dropping 39 points on UCLA during the NCAA Sweet 16.
There he is. Give it back to Fox for 2. He's going to be late again. Fox.
His jump shot was questionable at the time, which in this era isn't something you want from a guard. But his form was solid, so it wasn't a huge issue. Fox's career didn't start perfectly. He landed in Sacramento while the team was, let's call it a difficult time. They were the Sacramento Kings after all. Fox had a decent rookie year, posting nearly 12 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. He also got into the Rising Stars game, although barely, replacing injured Lonzo. In his second year, his stats jumped to 17 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and he finished as one of the 3 finalists for the Most Improved Player award. Still, the Kings were not making the playoffs. In true Kings fashion, they had multiple good players who just couldn't gel together. The backcourt of Fox, Buddy Hield, and Halliburton was way too crowded. Once they traded Halliburton for Sabonis, things picked up for the organization. Fox earned his first All-Star selection in 2023, finished on the All-NBA third team, and also became the first person in league history to win the Clutch Player of the Year award.
The Kia 2023 Clutch Player of the Year award goes to De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings.
While both him and Sabonis were snubbed from the 2024 All-Star game, Fox is having a great season, leading the league in steals and continuing his development.
The Orlando Magic select Jonathan Isaac from Florida State University.
From bad to good, and now back to bad. Well, actually, let me rephrase. Jonathan Isaac is still a young player with potential, but without the injuries, he could have been a lot better. His trouble started in his rookie season, where he only played 27 games due to multiple ankle injuries. He fared much better in his second season, securing a starting spot in the Magic rotation, and increasing his averages across the board. He needed to improve his offense significantly to become a star though. The dude did shoot over half of his attempts from the restricted area, and his percentage wasn't really good. But his defense was so good that he didn't have to become a good scorer. Isaac has the size, length, and vertical leap to block shots well. His speed lets him contest shots quickly, and his impressive second jump makes him a threat for multiple blocks in one play. Just as he was improving and averaging over 10 points for the first time in his career, a horrific torn ACL and meniscus injury kept Isaac out of the court from 2020 through 2022. He came back in 2023, but he was only able to play 11 minutes per game. Worse, he tore his left adductor muscle and was forced to sit out even more games. In 2023 through 2024, he bounced back playing 16 minutes per game in 58 games. While his per game averages are still low, his advanced stats show that he's still one of the best defenders in the league. Opponents shoot 19% worse around the rim with Isaac contested, ranking him first in the NBA among defenders with at least 100 such shots contested. And as he puts it, he's also becoming more comfortable on offense. Hopefully he'll be able to come back to a much bigger role next year, so the Magic can continue to improve and we can see more stuff like this.
The Minnesota Timberwolves select Lauri Markkanen from Jyväskylä, Finland, in the University of Arizona.
Lauri Markkanen is one of the more interesting stories in recent years. He came at a time when European 7-footers were all the rage in the league. A lot was expected of him. After 4 seasons, he was considered a disappointment, got traded, and then he became an all-star. Weird career arc for sure, so just what did happen here? Well, he was drafted by the Bulls, who weren't the best fit for him. Markkanen was an offensive talent, but he was slow and didn't play much defense. And the Bulls already had similar forwards in Nikola Mirotic and Bobby Portis. Things didn't work out in Chicago for 2 reasons. The team thought Markkanen was just too passive to be one of the main options, and he spent a lot of time on the injured list, which could hinder his future. After spending 4 years in Chicago, Lauri was sent to Cleveland, where he still played to the same level. Next year, he was sent to the Jazz as part of the Donovan Mitchell deal, and he blossomed. How did that happen all of a sudden? Earlier in his career, he was mainly used as a spot-up shooter. The Bulls didn't use him to his full extent. That changed in Utah.
First, when I got to Utah, it was more about what you did in the Eurobasket. I want that same version here.
After seeing him play for the Finnish national team at the Eurobasket in 2022 as the #1 option, the Jazz's coach Will Hardy saw that he could be a legit first option. Soon, Lauri jumped from scoring 14 in the 2021 through 2022 season to 25 points per game in the 2022 through 2023 season, with almost 50% from the field and 40% from deep. He got his first All-Star selection that year and won the Most Improved Player award. He played on the same level in the 2023 through 2024 season, and in January, it was reported that the Jazz are planning to invest in Markkanen as a franchise player and build around him.
The New York Knicks select Frank Ntilikina from Strasbourg, France, in SIG basketball.
In 2018, the Knicks were in a desperate need of a point guard, and they found the right guy with the 8th pick. Kinda, but not really. French point guard Frank Ntilikina looked like a good prospect. He was tall for his position and was more athletic than your average point guard in the league. Ntilikina also had a good basketball IQ, but there was one problem. Ntilikina was seen as a traditional pass-first point guard who didn't shoot too often, or drive to the rim for that matter. In a league where old-school point guards were becoming extinct, this wasn't really a good sign. And sure enough, Ntilikina struggled to score the ball. In his best season in the league, Ntilikina dropped 6.3 points and 3 assists a night. At the time when Ntilikina was selected, Phil Jackson was still the GM of the Knicks, and he actually had some plans for Ntilikina. He envisioned him as the starting point guard for the future of the organization. He even wanted to bring George Hill to help mentor the young guard, but as we know, things don't always go as planned. The Zen Master parted ways with the Knicks before the season started, ending an abysmal run. Hill went to the Kings as a free agent that summer, and Ntilikina, well, he didn't quite pan out. After bouncing from team to team, he was cut by the Charlotte Hornets in February 2024 and currently doesn't have a team.
Dallas Mavericks select Dennis Smith Jr. from North Carolina State University.
Dennis Smith Jr. was seen by the scouts as the most athletic guy in the draft. Maybe that's why they selected Luka next year.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
So Dennis was a freakish athlete back in high school. He was getting comparisons to John Wall and Iverson left and right, and his highlights were all over social media. There was that clip of Steph watching him play and asking for a replay.
Can you replay that for me?
And yeah, we couldn't wait to see him in college. His mixtape was literally titled Dear College Basketball. Good luck guarding Dennis Smith Jr., which gives you an idea of what was expected from him. He was ranked 4th in the country by ESPN and Rivals.com when he committed to North Carolina State. He's one of just 2 Wolfpack players ever to notch a triple-double, and he was the ACC Freshman of the Year. With Dirk Nowitzki on the verge of retirement, Dallas needed someone who could generate points and be a building block for a new team. The Mavericks' gamble on Dennis seemed to pay off that first year. He was an explosive scorer, averaging 15 points and dishing out over 5 assists, earning Smith the all-rookie second team that year. But everything changed when the Mavs drafted Luka. Dallas tried to make a tandem out of them, but Smith wasn't a good fit to play alongside the Slovenian wonder boy, since he also needed the ball in his hands to be effective. So just halfway into Luka's rookie season, Smith was traded to the Knicks in an effort to create another duo in Dallas, which also failed. I mean, 3rd time's the charm, right, Kyrie? Anyways, Dennis basically became a journeyman at a young age. He played for the Knicks, Pistons, Blazers, Hornets, and finally for the Nets. In the last few years, he seemed to have found his role in the league, playing as a high-energy backup guard who can provide instant points during any point of the game.
The Sacramento Kings select Zach Collins from Gonzaga University.
From what I remember, Zach Collins wasn't an outstanding player in college, but I also don't really remember hearing much about him at the time of the draft. He attracted interest as a good role player with a reasonably high floor. So Portland, who got the 10th pick by sending the 15th and the 20th to Sacramento, decided to go with the Gonzaga center. The Blazers wanted to pair him up with the more physically dominant Jusuf Nurkic to create a solid duo that can protect the paint and help with scoring on occasion. And so far, Collins has been just that, a solid piece. Is he a bust? No, not at all. While he never produced a lot, no one expected a lot from him. In the last 3 years, he's played for the Spurs, averaging around 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. In the 2023 through 2024 season, Pop played Collins alongside Wemby at first. However, later that season, Collins started coming off the bench for the team. And as a true role player, he just continued producing and never complained. Solid pick, solid career, solid guy.
The Charlotte Hornets select Malik Monk from the University of Kentucky.
Playing for Kentucky alongside De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo, Malik was the bomb in college. Explosive, high-flying, always great for a few highlights. As a prospect, he looked pretty good to the scouts. He had an all-star ceiling and a reasonably high floor as a high scorer off the bench. Some scouts were concerned about his size and defensive abilities, so he slid to the 11th spot in the draft. Charlotte picked him, and he spent his first 4 seasons playing with them, steadily improving his skills and numbers. In 2021, he signed with the Lakers, where he got an increased role, increasing his averages to nearly 14 points per game and starting 37 out of the 76 games that season. And at the end of the season, the Lakers could only offer him a $6.5 million mid-level exception. So Monk went ahead and signed a 2-year deal with the Kings for $19 million. For the last 2 seasons, he's been playing in Sacramento, being a much-needed 6th man for his Kentucky teammate Fox, providing instant offense and increasing his averages to 15 points and 5 assists. Seeing how Monk just turned 26 this year, he can still improve his game significantly before he finishes his career.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Another solid, but not really that spectacular pick. At college, Kennard was known as a sharpshooter who could create a little for himself. The Pistons, who had the 12th pick in the draft, were in desperate need of 3-point shooting, as they shot an atrocious 33% from outside the arc. Kennard was fantastic for Duke. He shot 49% from the field and almost 44% from 3 in his last season there. Seeing how he landed in Detroit, you just know that things wouldn't go smoothly. He struggled staying on the floor in his first 2 years, dealing with injuries. He established himself as one of the best shooters in his 3rd year. Kennard spent some time playing on the Clippers, leading the league in three-point percentage twice. He's currently playing for the Grizzlies, where he's still a solid contributor. He's just not that exciting to watch or talk about. Sorry, Luke, but you're an awesome shooter, though.
The Denver Nuggets select Donovan Mitchell from the University of Louisville.
And now for something really exciting. Over the past decade, the Nuggets have been one of the best drafting teams in the league. They've continuously drafted great all-star level players from mid-first round to the late 2nd round. Donovan Mitchell is one of those selections. Too bad they traded him right away. Murray and him probably wouldn't fit anyway. As a legit superstar pick 13, Mitchell's the one guy who makes every team with a higher pick kick themselves. Aside from Boston anyways. As a prospect, he was looked at as a great athlete with NBA-ready strength. But teams were worried that he didn't really have a position. He was too short for a traditional shooting guard and lacked passing skills for a point. The good folks from Ringer.com thought he would become Norman Powell, Avery Bradley, or Gary Harris. In the best case scenario. Ouch. Maybe the Nuggets were worried that they would end up with 2 Gary Harrises, so they traded Donovan Mitchell. Reading the draft report, you can also see words like late bloomer and continues to improve a lot. And he improved a lot from college. As a rookie, Mitchell led the Jazz and all rookies in his class in points, with 20.5. Mitchell was also the first rookie to lead his team in scoring since Carmelo, all while developing a lethal 3-point shot to break Damian Lillard's record for most threes made as a rookie with 187. And most importantly, he led the Jazz to a 48-win season. Keep in mind that the team has just lost Gordon Hayward and was supposed to go into rebuild mode. Yeah, Mitchell changed all of that. In the playoffs, they actually won the first round series against OKC and their big 3. Spida continued improving each year until he became one of the best guards in the league. After a couple of years in Utah, the Jazz wanted to shake things up and trade Mitchell to the Cavs, where he's still playing as of this video. He's still playing at an all-NBA level, and just last year, he became the 7th player in league history to drop over 70 points in a single game. Oh, and what did the Nuggets get out of the deal? Tyler Linden, who played 26 games in the NBA, and Trey Lyles, who spent 2 years with the team, averaging less than 10 points.
The Miami Heat select Bam Adebayo from the University of Kentucky.
But Mitchell wasn't the only steal of the selection. There was Bam. How does a multiple All-Star and an Olympic medal winner drop so low in the draft? In college, Bam was a high-energy, low-skill player. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk were there to create offense and drop buckets, so Bam just did his job catching lobs, collecting boards, and playing defense. He did the job well, as he was selected to the All-SEC second team and the SEC All-Freshman team. More often than not, big men like Bam, who aren't all that skilled but have athleticism, succeed in the league as role players. And not a lot of teams are ready to select role players in the top 10. I mean, Portland was looking for role-playing bigs, but in typical Portland fashion, they chose the wrong guy. But the Heat still liked Bam. He had size, was a team player, and had consistency. Other teams just didn't know that he would become so versatile as a player. Yeah, Miami is always drafting the right player. Today, Bam can play multiple roles. He can play as a traditional pick and roll and rim protecting big, a versatile defender that can battle with centers and switch on guards, and a playmaking center that can set up his teammates with clean looks. He has improved basically every year since entering the league, and he's played a huge role in one of the most successful franchises in this decade.
The Portland Trailblazers select Justin Jackson from the University of North Carolina.
Jackson was the best player of the NCAA title-winning Tar Heels team. While he wasn't a top-tier talent, he had the body, skill, and clutch experience to become a contributing player early in his career. But he landed on the Kings, and the Kings were, well, the Kings. He played for 4 different teams in his first 4 seasons, and he was a fine player. Around 7 points and 3 rebounds in limited minutes. Jackson was also a part of the 2021 Milwaukee team that won the title, so at least he has a ring. But after the Bucks, he bounced around the league before landing in Minnesota in the 2023 through 2024 season. There, he played a total of 2 games before being released by the team. We may see him in the league again, then again, maybe not. He's currently playing in the G League, so there's still a chance that we see him again.
The Chicago Bulls select Justin Patton from Creighton University.
Speaking of Timberwolves, in 2017, the Minnesota Timberwolves thought they were finally on the right track to creating a contending team. They had promising players, good coaching, and hope for the future. But there were still a few missing pieces, and Justin Patton looked like a great one. Patton was the Big East Freshman of the Year while playing for Creighton. He was a solid rim protector and a great passer for a big man. The media compared him to Divac. Yeah, Vlade didn't just flop and chain smoke before games. He was actually a fantastic passer back in his day. Anyways, what happened to Justin? Well, he played a total of 22 games in 4 years, splitting his time between running the bench and playing for G League affiliates of teams he was signed to. And after the NBA, he also played in Israel, France, and China.
The Milwaukee Bucks select DJ Wilson from the University of Michigan.
As the 17th pick, the Bucks snatched DJ Wilson. Not exactly a household name today, or even back then. Bleacher Report wasn't entirely sold on the pick even in 2017, hinting at other potential prospects like John Collins. Wilson had shown promise during his college stint with the Wolverines, where he led his team in rebounds and blocks. However, Wilson's NBA journey has been everything but smooth sailing. He's been bouncing in and out of the league, recently landing a 10-day contract with the Sixers. Where will he be the next season? Well, only the basketball gods know. So what went wrong? Well, injuries played their part, sure, and Wilson seems to be one of those guys perpetually stuck between the G League and the NBA. He's too good for the first and not good enough for the latter. In the G League, he averaged almost 20 points last year, while he only scored once over 20 in nearly 140 NBA games.
The Indiana Pacers select TJ Leaf from UCLA.
When Paul George left, the Pacers sought to rebuild their front court. TJ Leaf, a UCLA standout, seemed like a solid pick at 18th. Standing at 6'10 and 225 pounds, he boasted the ideal size for a forward and had an impressive college career at UCLA, earning a spot on the 2016 All-American team. Despite his collegiate success, doubts lingered about Leaf's ability to perform consistently in big games. He also struggled with shooting, with his three-point percentage dropping to a dismal 26% in his second season. Because of his bad shooting and defense, he never played more than 9 minutes per game in his career. He was last seen playing for Portland in 2020 through 2021 and is currently playing for the Beijing Ducks.
The Atlanta Hawks select John Collins from Wake Forest University.
In his college days, John Collins was seen as an undersized but freakishly athletic big man, as Hoop Hype so eloquently put it. He got a little lucky because the Atlanta Hawks just recently lost Dwight Howard and were looking for someone to fill the spot. Pause. Still, Collins isn't a Pier 5 or a Pier 4, he's somewhere in between. He's too small to guard larger big men like Embiid and Jokic, and not skilled enough to hang with the modern stretch fours. Nonetheless, he's earned some good money in his career, and has continuously been a solid player for the Hawks in the beginning of his career, and now for the Jazz.
The Portland Trailblazers select Harry Giles from Duke University.
At one point in time, the name Harry Giles was known by every NBA scout on the planet. Back at Oak Hill High, Harry was one of the most promising players in America. As a matter of fact, he was ranked #1 in the class of 2016. He averaged nearly 24 points, more than 12 rebounds, and 2 assists in his last year. Just look at these highlights. Yeah, they basically speak for themselves. Unfortunately, Giles' promising career took a hit when he tore his ACL in his senior year. Despite a brief stint at Duke, injuries continued to plague him, limiting his playing time to just 11 minutes per game. The Sacramento Kings still saw potential in Giles and drafted him, hoping to tap into his high school promise. But injuries persisted, and he never became the star he seemed destined to be. He recently signed a 2-way contract with the Lakers and will remain in LA, well, at least until the end of the 2023 through 2024 season.
The Oklahoma City Thunder select Terrence Ferguson from Dallas, Texas, and the Adelaide 36ers in Australia.
Terrence Ferguson's decision to play in Australia raised concerns about his readiness for the NBA, but scouts believed in his elite shooting and athleticism. Also, he wasn't all that great in the Australian league either, averaging less than 5 points on 36% from the floor. His NBA career got off to a rocky start with an injury in his rookie season. Despite opportunities with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Ferguson's performance was notably poor, with his PER in 2019 through 2020 ranking among the worst 5 all time. Not the most flattering accomplishment in the world. In the last couple of years, Ferguson has played for teams in multiple countries, including Poland, Greece, and China.
The Brooklyn Nets select Jared Allen from the University of Texas.
Not a lot of All-Stars are selected with the 22nd pick, but Jared Allen is one of them. So why was he selected so low? Allen was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and was ranked the 15th best player in the country. While the University of Texas had a disappointing season, Allen didn't. He posted over 13 points and 8 rebounds and got selected in the All Big 12 third team. And after 1 year, enough was enough, and he decided to enter the draft. One of the reasons Allen dropped so low may be his pre-draft interview. Typically, draft prospects give rehearsed answers about their intentions of becoming the best player they can be, giving 110%, yada yada yada, you know the drill. But Allen decided to be completely honest. When asked if he could live without basketball, Allen mentioned his family and his other interests in computers, math, and space.
From a young age, Allen was all about science, technology, engineering, and math.
My dad worked at Dell and when we were younger, and every time he'd give us his old 10-year-old laptop, you know, for us to just fiddle around with.
Which confused a lot of executives. Still, his athleticism and talent were too good for the Nets to pass on, so they selected him 22nd. He spent 3.5 years in Brooklyn, gradually improving and giving us highlights like these.
The injuries that we brought up. Oh! James, hard drive. Oh!
Here comes Edinator. Oh!
In the 2020 through 2021 season, he got traded to Cleveland in a 3-team trade that saw Harden going to the Nets to form a big three with Kyrie and KD.
So I just didn't know it was going to be Cleveland. I get to go home, back to Texas, back to Houston, you know, see the family. And then, you know, Sean calls me and he's like, you going to Cleveland? I'm like, still making the best of Cleveland. Love it here.
And the year after, he had a breakout year with the Cavs, posting 16 and 11, which earned him a spot in the Eastern Conference All-Star team. In a league where big men like Jokic and Embiid dominate both inside and outside the paint, Allen's traditional style of play as a lockdown defender and inside scorer is becoming less common. But he has adapted to the changing game and excelled defensively against top players. For instance, in a game against the Sixers earlier this year, he allowed the team to connect on less than 39% of attempts over him. In the 2023 through 24 season, the Cavs had the 6th best defense in the league, thanks in large part to Allen. The last year was great for Allen. He saw career highs in points and assists, and if he continues on this path, we just may see a few more All-Star selections.
The Toronto Raptors select OG Anunoby from Indiana University.
You know, not a lot of players selected with the 23rd pick become All-Stars either. I don't know any except Alex English, the Iron Man AC Green, and while the guy we're talking about now isn't an All-Star, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes one soon. Just ask Jason Tatum. OG Anunoby is currently, and if Tom Thibodeau doesn't kill him before the season is over, will stay one of the best defensive players in the league. After a slow first couple of years in the league, OG has developed into a versatile player, averaging over 16 points and 5 rebounds for the past 4 seasons. So why did he slip down to the 23rd spot? Well, he wasn't a particularly good offensive player back in college, plus he suffered an ACL injury before he even declared for the draft. So not a lot of teams were ready to take the risk. He played great the year the Raptors won the title. Although he was hurt for most of the playoffs, he still got his ring with the Raptors. And after winning the title, the Raptors lost Kawhi, as we know, in free agency and fell out of contention. OG stayed with the team for the next few years, and in the 2022 through 23 season, he made the NBA All-Defensive Second Team and led the league in steals. And then in December 2023, the Raptors traded OG to the Knicks.
The Utah Jazz select Tyler Lydon from Syracuse University.
We already mentioned Tyler earlier in the video, just realized I forgot to give you a spoiler alert. But yeah, Tyler Lydon didn't pay out. He had some good performances in college, but his 2 years at Syracuse were nothing more than solid. After being selected by the Jazz, he was dealt to the Nuggets, where he played just 26 games in 2 years, averaging less than a point. He signed with the Kings, but was waived before playing a single game. Last time he played was in this thing called the basketball tournament. Not gonna lie, pretty original name, a tournament hosted by ESPN where his team won the $1 million prize. And after the win, he retired from playing professional basketball. Way to go out on top, Tyler.
The Orlando Magic select Andrzej Pasechniks from Riga, Latvia, and CB Gran Canaria in Spain.
The Sixers got
Andrzej Pasechniks,
seeing him as a potential asset. At 7 feet tall, with a good shooting touch, he seemed like a useful addition, especially to give Joel Embiid a breather. However, he struggled in the NBA, losing his form and unable to shoot well from long range. Despite returning to the Wizards, he didn't perform well enough for the NBA. And since 2021, he's been playing in Spain.
The Portland Trailblazers select Caleb Swanigan from Purdue University.
Affectionately known as Biggie, was selected by the Blazers in an effort to further solidify their front court. Just a reminder, they already took a role-playing big man earlier in this draft. At Purdue, he had some rather impressive stats, 18.5 points and 12.5 rebounds per game in his sophomore year. Throughout his career, Swanigan battled weight problems that ultimately hindered his NBA prospects. Despite efforts to overcome them, he found himself out of the league by 2020. Tragically, Swanigan's struggles with weight continued, and he passed away in 2022 from complications related to diabetes, weighing about 500 pounds at the time. Yeah, athletes are people just like you and I, and this sad ending to such a promising life is a stark reminder of that.
The Brooklyn Nets select Kyle Kuzma from the University of Utah.
Next is Kyle Kuzma.
Carl Kuzma.
Kyle.
Kyle Kuzma. Those were the Guzman. Who? Guzman, whatever his name is.
No, it's not Shaq. Come on, brother. It's the second time.
Kyle Kuzma arrived to LA as a part of the D'Lo trade between the Lakers and the Nets. Kuzma was projected to go in the second round, but the Lakers requested the Nets draft him at 27. Entering the league a year after Kobe Bryant's retirement, Kuzma found himself amidst the Lakers' rebuilding phase. With Lonzo Ball as the cornerstone of the team and the additions like Kyle Kuzma and Brook Lopez to the front court, things were on the up. But a couple of weeks into their first season, it became apparent that Kuzma was actually the more league-ready rookie of the two. He played great in his first few seasons in LA. While the Lakers traded a majority of their young core in an effort to help LeBron win a title there, they kept Kuzma.
With 3, with 2, Kuz to win it. Yes!
His contributions were instrumental in the Lakers' 2020 championship run, notably scoring 19 points in a pivotal Game 3 of the NBA Finals. However, by 2021, Kuzma grew frustrated with his role. Feeling overshadowed by LeBron and AD, he got traded to the Wizards as a part of the package for Russell Westbrook. Kuzma has played on the Wizards since 2021. Although the team has been less than successful, Kuzma's game has evolved. He's become the team's top scorer, averaging over 22 points per game with an impressive 53% shooting from two-point range. But even with all the success, do you think it would have been better for him to stay with the Lakers?
The Los Angeles Lakers select Tony Bradley from the University of North Carolina.
Tony Bradley was a project player for the Utah Jazz. Coming out of North Carolina, Bradley had limited playing time behind Kennedy Meeks and Isaiah Hicks in his freshman year. Despite his lack of readiness, Utah saw potential in his playing efficiency and envisioned him as a backup for Rudy Gobert. But Bradley's skill set remained restricted, failing to expand as hoped. While he served adequately as a third-string center when called upon, his development plateaued. Currently, he's playing in the G League, and it's questionable whether or not he'll play in the league again.
The San Antonio Spurs select Derek White from the University of Colorado.
Unlike other NBA prospects, Derek White has spent the first 3 years of his college career playing for a D2 team, before transferring to the University of Colorado. So despite not receiving a fancy scholarship and, having to pay off student loans, White's scoring ability, ball handling, and defensive potential caught the attention of various recruiters. In his second season at the University of Colorado, he made the All Pac-12 first team and the All Defensive team. He got selected by the Spurs at the bottom of the first round, and unsurprisingly, he didn't start producing right away. He needed time, and Greg Popovich remained patient and helped him flourish. By his fourth year, White had become one of the best rim protecting and shot blocking guards in the league. He also improved his offensive skills, becoming a reliable on-ball creator too. After signing a nice contract with the Spurs, they sent him to Boston for a future first rounder and a pick swap. So far, White's been just what the Celtics have needed, because they became one of the best teams in the league after trading for him. Coincidence? I think not. During the playoffs, White's consistently performed well, averaging 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, all while having a 50-45-91 shooting split. And he was the reason they almost came back from a 3-0 deficit in the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, he has also been one of the clutchest players in the league, recording 0 turnovers in 84 clutch minutes he's played in.
The Utah Jazz select Josh Hart from Villanova University.
At just 6'4", Josh Hart may not have possessed the talent or size of your average NBA shooting guard or small forward, but he made a big impact by doing the little things to help his team win. This mentality was evident during his time at Villanova, where he played a crucial role in their 2016 championship run, showcasing his leadership alongside his scoring. He averaged over 24 points, 13 rebounds, and nearly 3 steals as a senior. Recognizing his basketball IQ, the Lakers picked Hart, and during his time in LA, he became known for his shooting and intangibles. However, it was not enough for LeBron, as Hart and crew were sent to Louisiana in the giant AD trade deal. There, he became known as a great rebounder and a solid scorer, averaging nearly 11 points and 7 rebounds in 2.5 seasons with the team. He also played for Portland for a time, and currently he's playing over 33 minutes a night on the Knicks, averaging 9, 8, and 4.
While we were away, Chicago Bulls made a pick. They took Jordan Bell out of Oregon.
Jordan Bell was dubbed a jack of all trades, but master of none by NBA scouts. Despite lacking a standout skill, Bell gained recognition for his contribution to Oregon's Final Four run in college. Golden State's decision to draft him seemed to be tempered with expectations. Bell played significant minutes off the bench during Golden State's 2018 NBA title run, showcasing his versatility on both ends of the floor. However, by 2020, he found himself traded to Minnesota and subsequently bounced around the league. At the moment, he's playing in China, home of many former NBA players.
The Utah Jazz select Thomas Bryant from Indiana University.
Before getting his foot on an NBA court, Thomas Bryant was labeled an offensive first player with defensive deficiencies. Despite this, the Lakers saw potential in his 7'6" wingspan and shooting ability. After having some good performances in the G League, Bryant joined the Washington Wizards, where he showcased his offensive skills with notable performances. But his defensive struggles persisted, earning him the title of the worst defensive center in the NBA back in 2020, courtesy of Bleacher Report. That season, he was tied for the 74th place in blocks per 36 minutes, and tied for 68th in boards per 36 minutes, with a very high conversion rate allowed within 3 feet. In layman's terms, Thomas Bryant on the defensive end was not great. Despite bad press and a partially torn ACL, Bryant's offensive contributions kept him in the league. He played a solid role off the bench of the Denver Nuggets 2022-23 championship run, and he's currently playing for the Heat.
The Houston Rockets select Isaiah Hartenstein from Eugene, Oregon, and Žalgiris Kaunas in Lithuania.
Born as the son of a German-American basketball coach and a former pro, Isaiah Hartenstein started playing basketball in Germany and Lithuania before declaring for the draft. He was selected 43rd by the Houston Rockets and would spend the first couple of years in the league bouncing back and forth between the NBA and the G League. That was until he signed with the Knicks in the 2022 offseason. The 2022-23 season was his breakout year in the NBA. He played all 82 games for the Knicks, averaging 5 points and 6 rebounds in 20 minutes of action. This year, Isaiah has thrived in the team's rotation, especially after Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks starting center, got injured. He has become a fan favorite in the Garden, and his defense and passing has earned him comparisons with Draymond and Marc Gasol. Bleacher Report has named him one of the top 25 free agents of 2024, so he'll probably get paid this summer. Oh, and it turns out he's the whitest black man of all time.
Explain your blackness. What level of blackness?
So my level of blackness, it's like light skin. I'm bright skin.
Ooh.
So, like,
okay,
above,
bright skin. I like that.
I'm above.
My child's bright skin.
I'm above light skin. No, but yeah, my dad's black.
Bright skin, right.
Dylan Brooks was selected after that by Houston. Brooks part of that Oregon team that went to the Final Four. And
Dylan Brooks, your favorite player's least favorite player. Say what you want about him. Fine, he's cocky in interviews.
But, I don't want to lose to Memphis ever in my career. I want to win every single time we play Memphis. Just to let them know that they made a little mistake.
His head games are kind of, questionable at times.
Boy, Westbrook the other way. No, whistle, foul. He'll go to the line for two. Some cruel intentions for the Iron.
And his trash-talking attempts at LeBron, hilarious in all the wrong ways.
Stare down by Brooks. And LeBron just wouldn't return the favor. Yeah, but
I don't care. He's old.
But the man came into the league as a 45th pick and managed to carve out a name for himself and become a sought-after player. That's something you have to respect. And Dylan's scrappy, I can beat anyone attitude may be cringe at times, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing. For players like him and Patrick Beverley, this is what keeps them in the NBA. Embracing his role as a villain, Brooks sees it as part of his identity. Everyone can't be the hero. I'd rather be what was chosen for me, he told Sports Illustrated. In a league that thrives on narratives, Brooks adds depth to the story. Every story needs a villain after all.
The Denver Nuggets select Monte Morris from Iowa State University.
Yeah, the Nuggets got this draft thing all figured out. Ever since high school, Monte has been everything a point guard needs. Playmaking, can get to the rim, and IQ. Well, everything besides height. In college, Morris broke NCAA records for assist to turnover ratio, establishing himself as one of the most efficient point guards. His success translated to the NBA, where he became one of the league's top backup point guards, making sure the second unit keeps things competitive while the starters are resting. In the 2021-22 season, because Jamal Murray was out for the year, Morris played an entire season as a starter, averaging 12, 3, and 4. Too bad he didn't stick around for the 2022-23 season to win the title with the Nuggets. He got traded to the Wizards as part of a package for the KCP and Ish Smith deal. After being a Wizards player, he also played for the Pistons and then finally for the Timberwolves. Despite going undrafted, Luke had an impressive college career, setting records at Vanderbilt for block shots and three-pointers among players 7 feet or taller. He even achieved the second ever triple-double in school history. However, NBA scouts were concerned about his ability to defend agile big men. The Knicks took a chance on him, and he made an immediate impact with a double-double in his first game, becoming just the second Knicks rookie to do so. Although he has moved between the NBA and the G League, Luke has found stability with the Celtics this year, making solid contributions in limited playing time, also giving us some of the best memes this year. Could this undrafted talent help the Celtics win a title? PJ possessed several strong skills like shooting and facilitating, but none seemed elite enough for the NBA. Despite scoring 17 points in a Final Four game, he went undrafted. He signed with the Mavs but spent most of his time in the G League, where he excelled and earned All-NBA G League honors in the 2018-19 season. His best years came with the Nuggets as a versatile bench guard. He's currently playing in Europe for Partizan Belgrade, dunking on open courts that are seemingly on fire. Makes no sense, right? Roll the clip. While this draft was low-key mid with the picks in the beginning, overall it still turned out to be a strong draft. I'd have to do the numbers, but there are a lot of active players in this draft, and no one mentions it when talking about the best classes. Although this draft is still relatively new, I think more people will recognize it for what it is in a couple of years.